What's up, y'all? Krystal here. So words of encouragement as I encourage myself in the Lord. Okay. Um, Change is something else, right? We can either react to change or we can respond to change. And so, one thing that I'm learning right now is like, which I've been learning over the past few weeks, is the way my body is responding, my brain is responding to this situation. Um, whew, like, okay. So here's the thing. My kids and I, we're just going through something right now, and we had to locate to a new state. This is not abuse and all of that stuff. Like, no. So we had to leave Georgia and come to another state. And y'all, I fought and I fought and I fought for months, at least the last 6 months, to be able to stay in Georgia. As a woman in separation. Trying to stay because I didn't want to leave the life that we had established in Georgia. Meaning like schools and friends and, church. And I had, like we were established in that way and we loved the area we were in and things like that. And I fought trying to figure out how I could stay, trying to establish myself financially, trying to, applying for a home for the first time for myself and actually getting approved for it. Pretty much had a job, doing all of this while pregnant, while 7-8 months pregnant. And just even from then, like this was probably end of September 2023 to all the way up until January 31st. I was fighting to make things work. So as we went through a challenging time as far as my relationship and my kids experiencing that, like we wouldn't necessarily have to uproot from some of those comforts of like still having people around and being in the area and just the comfort of them being in school and things like that, just relationships and people. And I fought because I began to carry the weight of my children's emotions as well and trying to guard them, but also for myself. And so the one thing that I didn't want to have to do, which is why I was trying to make so many things work, keyword, make so many things work for myself and my family, and not necessarily seek God for the answer and say, God, whatever your will is, I will have peace with it. I was just like, no, that is my very last option. I refuse. And like even when I was talking to people about it, they were like, but why don't you want to do that? Why don't you want to go back to your parents' house? And why don't you, if that's an option that you have, why don't you want to do this? And for me, I found every reason why I didn't want to do this. And ultimately, now that we're here, I realized that my fight was the wrong fight. Because if I was really seeking God and saying, let your will be done, God, and not trying to necessarily control the narrative for myself and my family, in the sense of like, I'm willing to make things work in this way and struggle before I go to my parents' house, right? And the reason I was like that is because this has always been the option for me. Like, I will get into something, I fail, and I end up back at my parents' house. I've moved out of my parents' home, and this is transparency. I've moved out of my parents' home. I moved out. I've been back, let me put it this way, back in my parents' house since I moved out. In college, like, I moved to Orlando. I wasn't even in college. It wasn't even for college. I just went to Orlando and stayed with some roommates. Went to college at the end of that year. So it was one. I moved into my own apartment. Got married secretly. 2. Then 3. After that apartment, went back in with them. Moved out again, out of their house, one of their houses. 3, moved back in with them, back out. 4, and then moved to another state. And now I'm not necessarily back in my childhood home or neighborhood, but I'm in a home where they're about to move to, which is set up for us. We have it to ourselves right now. And 5. So 5 times. And so now what I'm learning is, like, because I know God is redeeming the time, I'm like, let me catch myself now, because I'm like, Lord, I just want to learn the lesson. Wherever you need to process me, I'm like, don't send me back around this mountain where I find myself moving back in the house with them again for a 6th time. Every time I moved in and out, I've had more kids. So here I am with me and my 6 kids in the house with my parents in this beautiful home. The one thing that I was trying to fight so much, and there was fears, there was like just feeling like a failure, shame, guilt, just feeling like, I'm too old for this, right? But now I'm like, God, if you have me in this position again, it's very different, but it's the same, because I'm like in my parents' home, but I don't know. Right now it's kind of like a vacation home for them until they move in permanently. So I'm like, I'm back at this again because you want to teach me something. This is how my mindset has changed and how I know I'm growing. And it's so hard it was hard for me to come to that conclusion. But now that I'm here, and like as I was leaving Georgia, I was like, well, God, even up until the night before, just God, this seems like the only thing that's working out. I have a vehicle waiting there for me. I have this home there waiting for me. I don't have to worry about anything. My parents have allowed me to come back, allowed me to come into their home, brand new home, and me and my children, and you don't have to worry about anything, just food for the kids, and this, that. And I'm like, Lord, if this is the only option working out for me, then let me just stop resisting and give you a yes. Because everything that I was trying to make work back in Georgia just wasn't working. Like, I would get as far as like an approval, yes, you got the job, yet, and things would just not work out. For instance, I applied for a home and got approved for the home. And so I'm like, okay, bam, God, because I'm like, I know where my deposit is coming from. I know, like, I got this, Lord, okay? I had assistance, I had money from this, and I'm like, okay, I need this last bit of my deposit, and then apply for a job. And I'm like, okay, I got approved for the job. Bam, right? And all of this, I'm like 7 months pregnant. I'm like, I'm about to make this work. I'm about to work this job full time with these 6 kids, take care of them, and I'm about to have this house and do all of this. Not really counting the cost, but just like, okay, things are working out, And so all of that was happening. That was started in September. So for the full 30 days, I'm fighting. I need the rest of this deposit. I need to do this. I need to do that. Like, really, it was just me getting all of the deposit for this house and putting that deposit down. But then also it was the fact that, like, I didn't even get to look at this home. I just went ahead and applied for it, got approved. And you need something?
I was gonna ask you
Uh, well, I can't play right now. I'll play with you in about an hour. Um, and so I was like, okay, bam, I got this, got that. Things are looking up, things are working out. I'm like, okay, I just need a vehicle, and I'll be good. This was the whole month of October. I'm fighting. Lord, I need y'all. Ooh, when I tell y'all, when I testify, okay, because this week gonna testify too. And then here comes October 31st. I've had my baby. I go look at the home. It's not in the best condition that I was waiting for the tenants to move out. Then the job that I thought I was going to get, never heard anything back from anybody. I never received an email to even be able to contact anybody. So in a month's time, it all just fell through. And I was just like, well, God, why? Okay, so now I'm trucking along, Here's November, still trying to look around. That kind of burnt my faith, because I was like, what? A job in a home? And I had it. I just I had them both in my hands, just not fully, but it was mine. I just needed the keys to the home, and I just, just to finish out the last few details. And so that fell through in October. And I'm like, man, it really discouraged me. It really did. And so I kind of just became faithless and had to literally fight to build my faith back up to say, okay, I'm going to start, looking again and looking for jobs again. And so I started doing that again, maybe around the end of November. And then December comes around. I'm like, okay, I'm still going to look by faith. I'm still going to apply for jobs by faith. Okay, here comes December. I apply for a job. I get an interview. And then I apply for an apartment and pretty much get approved for it again. So I'm like, okay, I just need this, that. Do the interview, didn't get the job. And it was actually an ideal, job, like that would take me in the path of things that I'm currently doing anyway. It just would have been a stepping stone. And I'm like, okay, I get this job, work this job. It's good money. And then I probably can use it no matter where I go. And then also with the apartment, I was like, okay, boom. My kids will still be able to go to their school. We still in the area. And then it hit me again. Didn't get the job. I realized after I did the interview, why I didn't get the job. So I tried, and I kept hearing, try again. So I applied again. I reached out to the recruiter. Major. Didn't get the job. Reached out to the recruiter. Didn't hear a response. Applied again. They just said no straight up. And I'm assuming it was because I applied and failed the first interview, so I guess I didn't get second chances. And then with the apartment, I just wanted to do things with integrity, at that point it was kind of like a desperation. I'm like, it's me and my 6 kids going into this 3-bedroom apartment. They only allow 6 people, so I would be lying. And then I got to check and just like, Krystal, do things with integrity. That's how you've always been doing things. You've always been kind of manipulating situations, lying to get this or that. And in that moment, I was like, Lord, I don't want to live like that no more. I want to be right. I know I'm going into this apartment with 7 of us and 6 is allowed. And I'm trying to leave my baby out and all of this stuff. And I'm like, that is not the life that I want to live. That's just how I've been living, and didn't even realize that I've been manipulating my way through life with just little things just to make things work for myself. And that's such a slave mentality. That's such a mindset of poverty and stagnation and just no integrity and no character. And I was like, you know what? Okay, withdrew my application from that apartment. Then January 2024 comes around, and I'm just like, okay, we at crunch time. We got to move out of our apartment. The grace of God was truly on us with that. And here I am the whole month of January, just like, Lord, I don't want to go here. I don't want to go here. I don't want to go here. Applying for jobs, just trying to do so much stuff, trying to make things work for myself. And the only option that was still there on the table is for me to just leave the state. And I was like, God, I don't feel like I'm done here. I feel like I'm leaving this state empty-handed, which really I wasn't. That's why mindset is everything. I wasn't necessarily leaving that state empty-handed, but I just felt like our life isn't done there. But how do I know that? Because I'm basing that off of, my own situations. Because there were so many things that God was telling me to do during my 3 years of living in Georgia. And I was just disobedient. I would probably start it and stop, or try to do it in different ways, or I would do what God is telling me to do and go over here and do something else that, like, it was just a mess. And so even in this, like, it was just like, God is like, I've been telling myself since I've been here with my kids, have peace, I'm just praying. I'm like, Lord, let your will be done. I know you got us covered because obviously you sent me here, because if it wasn't meant for me to come here, I wouldn't have come, I wouldn't have, like, you would have shut the door for me to even come here. You would have made a way for me in Georgia. I mean, I was even at the point of, like, asking people, can we live in their basement for a few months? Y'all, yeah, I was desperate to make it work there, and it wasn't working. And so the lesson is that is that I'm not trying to go back around the mountain again. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I feel like during this time, and this will be the last time that God's grace will truly be upon me, but it's more of a process of purging the way that I think about things and the way that I've tried to do things, and even another chance to really, like, get some things right as far as, like, my family life. And not just, I don't mean like my marriage and my children, but like my relationship with my parents and even my family here in South Carolina, because I have never come here before. Like, I haven't been here so long until they moved here. This is our third time coming since they've been here last year. And I just feel like it's a time to get a lot of things right. Like, this is like tying up loose ends for God, So the response to this is like, I'll just say, yes, you lead the way, because that's what it is. And I don't want to fail. I'm always like, God, I don't want to miss it, because no matter where I go, you're there. But also the fact that, like, I'm not set back right now. I'm being set up. And see, all the other times I felt like I was being set back. Like, oh my God, like, just balling up and just getting in this mindset of, like, why does this have to keep happening to me? But now seeing this as, okay, God, this is the last time I want to do this. So whatever you got to do in me, to me, for me, through me, use me, do it now, because I don't want to be back in this point again. If I am coming back home, it's because I'm visiting, or it's because y'all know what I mean. Like, this is never again to come live with my parents. Never again to come, like, live with them, because I found myself in, hitting rock bottom. So at this point, it feels like rock bottom for me, but I know that God is doing something. It's like a pit stop, and I have to make sure that I am totally allowing God 100% to do what he needs to do. And when I feel like I want to resist or fight back or say no or take control, that God will check me on that immediately. Anxiety tried to hit me so bad last night. Like, I was up, but I also got up and I was just praying, reading scripture, and just like, this will not take me out. This will not take me out. I will not lose sleep. I'm not going to be in insomnia, because it's just so much going on that it's like my life what I knew as life is being snatched away from me, so I can live in the new thing that God is saying I'm doing. Like he's saying, I'm doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? We don't know how it's going to look like, what it's going to look like, what's going to happen when God is doing something new in our life. But we have to know that he is in it and he's doing it, and that to trust him in it. Like, God, I don't like how this feels, but I trust you. God, I don't like how this looks or feels, but I'm not going to be put to shame. I'm not going to be disgraced. I'm not going to be dismayed. I'm a fear not, because I know you're with me. Thinking about the children of Israel, thinking about Moses leading them out. Like, Moses was scared. Probably peed his pants a lot because of the situation. Like, so some of the prayers and scriptures that I've been reading, first of all, I've been telling myself I am capable of this. Like, just setting myself up for the vision and the life that I know God has for me. And it's taken a lot of mindset shift, like tearing down those strongholds that have been in my mindset. Man, the mind, y'all, just tearing those things down, knowing that I'm capable and I got it. God got me. I saw like God got this signs a few times while just being here and traveling here. And what was I about to say? But also like in a mode of repentance as God brings things to me and show me things. And removing idols out of my life. Because that's definitely one thing I, believe in, that I was pulled away from the things that I thought I needed or think I need, because I wasn't seeing it the right way, and still creating idols in my life and still being dependent upon people and needing to be isolated, like seeing this as my time of refuge with God. Like, God is my refuge, but also he's like having me to retreat, to come and really be with him and sit with him in isolation and really nobody around. And just the people that are helping me is like my family that I don't really see much or don't even really talk to, but they are helping me. So everything was just set up here, but I was just trying to avoid it. Like, just trying to avoid it, because I'm like, no, I'm not doing this again, God. I'm not going back. I'm not. But now I realize that God is doing something and I need to perceive it. I need to see it. I need to trust him in it. I need to like just know that it's him and he's with me and he has confirmed and reaffirmed and done that. This is the pit stop. Okay, it's just a pit stop. This is not forever. And so even in that, I have to constantly declare that and remind myself, like, this is just a stepping stone, but also the fact that, like, I just need to allow God to do his thing. So, and I'm capable. No fear. Fear not, fear not, fear not. So what I keep hearing, like, fear not. I'm with you. Fear not. Cross over. Do what you need to do. Occupy. Like, just accept and say yes. And that's it. That is it. So, this the journey. It's not easy, but it's easy when it's with God.